I'm going to show you how to change the hinge pins on the passenger door of a 2006 Chevy Silverado. There's a total of 4 pins for each door. The replacement pins that I got are made by Dorman. They include new bushings and lock nuts on the bottom to hold them in place. The first thing we need to do is remove 2 panels, one here on the bottom and one here on the side. That'll give us access to the wire that goes to the door. Next, remove the side panel. Now we have access to the electrical connector for the door. It's connected to the green wire. Before you disconnect it though, be sure to roll the window down on your passenger door. It made it a lot easier for me when I removed the door because I was working by myself. Once you have the 2 connectors disconnected, take a screwdriver and pry this boot off. Then pull the wire all the way through. Now we'll remove 3 10mm bolts. One here on the lower hinge, one up here on the upper hinge, and one on the stabilizer bar. With the 3 bolts removed, you can lift the door right off the pins now. To remove the old pins, we'll need to cut the bottom of each one off. When I did the driver's side door, I used a Sawzall to remove them, and that worked really good. Before you start cutting, wedge a screwdriver in right here. That'll keep the old hinge from moving when you're cutting it off. Be sure to cut in towards the hinge. That way if the blade slips off, you're not going to hit your quarter panel. You may need to use a chisel or a punch now to remove the pin. Now do the same thing with the bottom hinge. Remove the old bushings from the hinge, then install the new bushings. Before I install the pins, I apply a small amount of grease on the area that's going to be inside the bushing. Now line up the inner part of the hinge with the holes and drop the pins in. Be sure you get the right pin for the right hole. The top pin has the smooth part on top and the splines on the bottom. The bottom pin is just the opposite. Now put a washer and a lock nut on each one. Now tighten each one down so that the pins get seated properly. After you tighten them down, one thing that you want to check is to make sure that the bushings are not moving with the hinge. you can see that this bushing in here is moving with the hinge because it's too tight. If you left it that way, eventually the moving bushing would wear out the inside of that hole, and you'd have to replace the part of the hinge that's welded to your frame. To get the bushing to stop moving, simply loosen up the nut a little bit and then turn the hinge. Once you see the bushing has stopped moving and the hinge is moving freely, then you've got it right. Then drop the door on the new pins. All that's left now is to reinstall the 3 bolts, 2 on the hinges and 1 on the stabilizer, and then reconnect the wiring harness. Replace the 2 pieces of molding, and you're all done.